Yep. Okay. I think we are on YouTube now. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back to AOA UK channel. Hi, Mandy. How are you?
Hi, Rod. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. It's going to be a big one astrologically.
I know, isn't it? So, what strike you more? What draw your attention more for this 2024 in astrology
Well,
event? Yeah.
well, it's got to be Pluto going into Aquarius, finally settling
Hmm.
in Aquarius, 21st of January, and then we're going to have it till September. Then it goes one last ditch attempt in Capricorn before it settles for 21 years in the sign of Aquarius. So it's a long time for Pluto.
Indeed.
Spend that long in every sign, so it's going to be really interesting. We'll probably touch on that a little bit today because it's really important as well, and
Definitely.
comes into the lunations, it comes into everything. And then we've got the Jupiter Uranus conjunction in April, which is going to be really exciting. Really
Yes.
exciting. Just it
Yes.
carries the energy of excitement and breakthroughs and you know cool stuff happening, sort of creative breakthroughs, scientific breakthroughs, So I'm excited about that as well. Especially it does
To be
have some connections with my birth chart, so it'll be fun. So does Pluto, but we'll
Yeah, I
talk about
know
that as
Pluto.
well.
Well, but I think one thing about Pluto is although we are is a big thing and it's going to last there for long, but for last year, 2023, we collect a few information. So
Hmm.
we may understand that what we can do and how what we're going to face. Not totally, but we maybe have that little bit, test
Hmm.
about the Pluto. But
Hmm.
today, I think we are going to focus on the January. But we definitely could talk about Pluto because it moved into Aquarius on 21st January, and I think that was a quite busy moment that time. So, well, should we dive in? Should we jump into the new moon? Because the new moon coming up, new moon sounds like a pretty interesting. It is a Capricorn new moon,
It
right?
is. It is.
Yeah. Should I share the chart?
Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Here we are. So
Here we
I
go.
hope yeah, here we are. Yes. We have the new moon on 20 degree of Capricorn, and it will happen on the 11th of January in UK. So, well, what it would be your interpretation when we check the new moon chart here?
Well, we always talk about a new moon chart. It's the dark of the moon. It's about the moon reaching the end of its waning period, which means waning period is when it's losing energy. So by the new moon, it's the darkest part of the moon, but it's the idea of the darkest part is before the dawn, because after the moon starts to grow in energy and grow in light. But the new moon is really a time to set intentions. It's a time to rest. It's a time to plan. It's a time to plant seeds. It's a conjunction. So it's a time to plant seeds. It's a time to really just think about what our intentions might be, our plans might be for the month ahead. It's a great, if you're ever going to think about how we're going to plan the month ahead, whether that's anything to do with creative or work or just personal stuff, or even sort of, people garden and plant seeds and grow things by the moon. And that's a eons old tradition that actually works. So if you are into sort of growing things, it's worth looking at the moon. You can still buy old Moore's almanac, and that shows you it's called almanac, not armagnac. Armagnac, I think, is a brandy, isn't it?
Love it.
Almanac, which tells you when good times to plant things by the moon. But we're having a real sort of Capricorn focus this month because obviously the sun is still in
Mm,
Capricorn. We've got the
yeah.
Capricorn new moon. We'll see, there it is in house 9. Mars has gone into Capricorn. And then later in the month, we have Mercury, which is newly direct, by the way, which is good news for the new year.
Yeah.
That goes into Capricorn very soon. I've got the date for that somewhere. I can't off the top of my head, I can't remember, but
I think
it goes into
around the
Capricorn
14th
soon.
or 15th.
14th to 15th, that's
Yeah,
right.
14th,
And then Venus towards the end of January. Yeah, there you go. Venus from the 23rd goes into Capricorn as well. So we've got some really intense Capricorn energy, not forgetting that for the moment until the 21st of January, you've got Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So I guess we can think of this new moon and also all these inner planets, these personal planets, besides obviously Pluto is an outer planet, but with the sun, the moon, the Mars, the Mercury, the Venus, all sort of showing up in Capricorn this month. So we kind of can think about what can we do to make the most of that Capricorn energy. So on a personal level, I mean, Capricorn is about the long climb, isn't it? It's the goats going up the mountain. It takes its time. It's patient. It's sure-footed. It's cautious. It doesn't want to fall down the mountain, but it takes its slow ascent. So I often think about Capricorn. It's a cardinal sign. And you think about cardinal signs as initiating things and really rushing into things. And that's definitely Aries, of course. Aries is the first cardinal sign. Whereas Capricorn is known for its patience. But what I've learned as a Capricorn and from studying astrology and from studying charts and seeing clients, actually, Capricorns aren't innately patient. We're talking about Sun Capricorn here mostly, and probably Mars in Capricorn. Matt, you can maybe attest to this. Patience doesn't naturally, but because of the Saturn rulership of Capricorn, it's part of the karma of Capricorn to have to learn to be patient. Hence the fact the slow climb and the fact that it takes a long time to get where you want to be, but that sure-footed way of doing it, not rushing in, because obviously there's caution around Capricorn. But where we really can use the strength of Capricorns, if you have anything really in the cardinals this month, you can access these energies. The cardinal signs are obviously Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer. Anything in the cardinal signs in your birth chart can really access this energy and use this energy. So some really positive energy for Capricorns, and positive qualities are like tenacity, discipline. It's the start of the new year, you know, we're getting back, grinding down into hard work. Resourcefulness. Capricorn is incredibly resourceful. Wisdom. It's cautious, as I've already said, but it's practical and pragmatic. It's ambition. So if you have an ambition, and if you have an intention, something you want to achieve this year, not just this month coming up, this year, then perhaps this Capricorn new moon is a good thing, isn't it? I mean, Mars really helps with that discipline. Mars in Capricorn, as you know, you have it in your birth chart. Very envious of your Mars in Capricorn, because it's a fantastic placement for Mars, because it gives that discipline, it gives that hard work, that tenacity, all those positive things that I've talked about Capricorn brings, and that energy that it brings comes out in Mars. And Mars, of course, is the planet of desires and what you want. It's also the planet of action, so taking action. So Mars in Capricorn is a real gift actually for the new year as well. I mean, what do you think, Rod?
I agree with you first about the Capricorn season. And we have that Sun, Moon in Capricorn and Mars also in Capricorn to start a new year, and making a plan usually is like this Capricorn energy will tell us, say, slow down, don't rush into something, and be practical. Think about the practical way. Like you said, I have a Mars in Capricorn and you have Sun in Capricorn. I think when we're facing the challenge, doesn't matter what, doesn't matter big challenge or small task or something, we always thinking first, wait a minute, what's our plan, and what's the resource, and what our experience tell us. And we need exam from all the angle, especially the practical side, and then we will make decision. So, well, yes, even the cardinal sign, usually cardinal sign is initiating, but with the Capricorn as a pattern ruler, this Capricorn, it will, just like I say, be cautious, you know. Yes.
Yeah, and I think the one thing to be aware of with Capricorn, we talked about that caution, and of course it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn can put you in fear and make you overcautious, so you don't do anything, and then you nailed it really when you said Capricorn learns to experience. It's experiential. It's an earth sign. It's about doing things, and it's about eventually manifesting your desires. For example, if we're talking about Mars, it's manifesting relationship type stuff. When we're talking about Venus in Capricorn, it's manifesting what your ambitions are, and how you use your energy and your vitality. When we're talking perhaps more about the sun in Capricorn, because on a mundane level as well, we can look out for Capricornian themes, can't we? Things relating to the earth, literally, and the earth, particularly the earth's resources. What are our resources? There's a lot of talk at the moment about how we're misusing the earth's resources, and there's a lot of astrology, a lot of big astrology around that. It's not just about Capricorn, but Capricorn certainly comes into it. Physical structures, social structures and hierarchies as well, which is particularly interesting when you think about the idea of social structures and hierarchies and social orders being questioned and challenged under Pluto in Capricorn, which is now 29 degrees, which is the very last sign, the very last degree of Capricorn. Anything you see in 29 degrees in the chart's in the very last degree of its sign, which is called the anaretic degree, and it's a point of pressure, a point of urgency. We've just talked about Capricorn, patience and caution, and it's that kind of, it's almost like that real tense energy which comes into this new moon. It's tense energy. We've got to move forward, but we don't know everything. We haven't got the experience yet. We just need to plan. It's kind of helping us to sort of say you kind of need to be patient, but then there's perhaps things to finish off before you can move forward. Certainly things in the world that we need to finish off before we can move forward. And it's going to be a big year for elections in quite a few places in the world. And so we've got election coming up in the second half of this year in the UK, a general election. And then towards the end of the year, we have the general election for the presidential election in the US, and there's other countries that will be going through elections. Capricorn is about government. Aquarius, Pluto's going into Aquarius, is about the people and the common people. So I think we might be able to sort of look back on the first new moon of the year. We can maybe look back on this chart again and perhaps see things unfolding. It's not a eclipse, of course, but I don't know. What do you think, Rod?
Yeah, I agree. Especially also in Taiwan on the 13th of January, that will be the first big election all around the world. That's the and at this moment there is kind of a political term in Taiwan would be like a pro-China or pro-independent, and this is a compact. I think our colleague Smiliana already written an article about it, and I have read it very well written, and also she makes some forecasting, and so I will recommend people are interested go to check Smiliana's article. It's very interesting. I don't 100% agree with what she predicts, but a well analyzed chart and article is always recommended. Yes, one thing is very interesting in this new moon chart would be the new moon trine Uranus. So in one way, this is the kind of anticipation that for me, I feel that kind of anticipate about Pluto going to move into Aquarius. So there is the Capricorn sign, Sun, Moon, Mars, but there is the kind of a the Uranus. And that trine is kind of pretty 1.5 degrees. So in this aspect, I can feel like yes, I know everyone wants to change things. We want to change. Could we keep what we use for and what we think is practical, and but still make a little change, tiny bit, slowly, because this trine is not going to, I'm going to make a revolution, I'm going to change everything. No, this trine is like, let's just do it, step by step. What do you think, Mandi?
I agree, because a trine is a allowing aspect, a flowing aspect, whereas like, you know, a square creates that tension, you have to act on from the tension, whereas it's kind of an allowing flow. And Uranus, actually, when you allow Uranus to flow, the results can be incredibly awakening, incredibly active, incredibly electric, incredibly like fantastic change. Or it can also be the negative side, the shadow side of it, of course. Just because it's a trine aspect doesn't mean it's all going to be positive, but we are,
Sure.
I think, a world, and you know, various nations and the world as a whole, we are ready for a change, and Uranus here just kind of reminds us that change is coming. And I think the idea of it being a trine and it being a flowing aspect, a more allowing aspect, I think is a message to us that when change comes, let it flow, go with the change. I mean, Taurus is notorious. I mean, Uranus is the planet of, you know, sudden change and awakenings and revolutions and all these kind of things. And you said we don't really see, particularly at the moment, a revolution being shown in the charts. But in Taurus doesn't like change. So it's a kind of a strange sign. We, you know, when Uranus was in Aries, we saw all sorts of amazing changes. And in Taurus, it's kind of made us focus on perhaps even things a little bit closer to home, closer to us emotionally. It's about the land, and obviously it's giving us a message about global climate change, for example. So we're going to see something more around that. We're going to see more of a focus on that. I mean, just today, a Conservative MP, a minister actually, who has resigned from the government, and he's also going to resign as an MP because he disagrees with the UK government's stance on continuing to mine fossil fuels. So there's going to be quite a lot more of that, I think. I mean, we're looking wider than obviously this short of the new moon. But yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? Letting go of what you no longer need, especially as there's also a connection there, I think, to Chiron. I think there's a square there, a new moon to Chiron, fairly wide square. So it's letting go of things, the way we can kind of heal ourselves, and the way we can actually heal our planet is to set the intentions to let go of that need for, I guess, power and control, you know.
Yes, I think it is. I think the when you're talking about the Uranus in Taurus, and the link is with our awareness, and we try to have a different view with our environment, with our land. I just remember the things the I think both when the Uranus moved into Taurus, and while it has aspect with Pluto, that was the moment we have like the awareness about extinguished things, you know. And I think there is a movement about we should be more aware about this world, and we should be more aware about our relationship with the environment, and what we done already caused the damage of this world. Well, some people, I have to say, some people are still standing on another side of Pluto in Capricorn. That means I dominate the world. This world is my resource. I can use whatever I want. I still have a lot of countries still thinking in that way.
Yes.
And also, I mean, I respect, with all the respect, but we need to communicate, because we are kind of we couldn't deny with the climate change. It keeps changing, and then people just mocking or laughing. I think that's fine, but we were aware about with all the resource, you know, with all the resource, like a food shortage, or how we when we decide to do the fossil things to already damage our land, and that is
Yeah.
a kind of awareness. And this new moon, we have Uranus, well, very close to ascendant, not 100%, but very close to ascendant. I think fit into you talking about the MP and the minister resign, and just because disagree with the government's policy, and this is quite fit into the situation.
Yeah, totally. And I think you picked up on the idea of Uranus in Taurus being about food, not just the food we eat, but the way we produce our food as well. Food production, is it sustainable? What we eat, is it sustainable that rainforests are being cut down to make way for animal feed, for cattle feed, whereby people who are environmentalists are saying that actually it'd be better for the planet all round if we ate less meat and we ate more plants. But I think we will get to the point where we will have to do that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, we're getting, as I say, going a lot wider and deeper than just this new moon. But one more thing to note about this new moon is that it is in a exact square to the lunar nodes there.
Yes.
So that's also really interesting, isn't it? Because you've got, I mean, this current lunar nodes, we've got the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. That's all about our personal sovereignty. The North Node is where we want to let in new energies, and Aries is about our personal sovereignty. We hear a lot about people saying, I want to be my authentic self. And I've certainly been going on that journey myself. I'm certainly sort of, I think, surprising some people, because I am becoming more of my authentic self rather than the person that I was perhaps programmed to be by my background or my childhood or whatever. I was programmed to be an obedient Capricorn, and I'm actually nothing but, And I think so. There's that kind of, I think, because it's a new moon, and new moons are very personal, aren't they? Because it's a quiet, it's dark. When if you have anything sort of 18 to 22 degrees of the cardinal signs, you'll be touched by it particularly. So it's a very personal thing, and that this North Node in Aries that's connecting to it is sort of saying, well, do what you need to do, be selfish, healthy selfishness is what it's calling for, but balancing that with the needs of other people, Libra. So where can we say no and set healthy boundaries? Because Capricorn is also about boundaries, because it's ruled by Saturn. So where can you say no? Where can you stop doing the people pleasing? Where can you be more of your authentic self and express yourself in a healthily selfish way? And where can you just sort of, say, okay, but I still balance that with the needs of others. I still balance that with my duties, responsibilities, and obligations to my work, to my family, again, which is all Capricornian stuff. So those are some kind of, I guess, more personal themes to contemplate during this new moon, which happens on the 11th of January.
Yeah, I 100% agree with this nodal axis when the sun and moon, when new moon stand right on the bending, and then so we look forward, backward, forward, backward. We think about ourselves. Like I like the word you say, healthy, selfish. Yes, selfish. Somehow sometimes has a little bit bad, then, but at least we say think about yourself. Somehow you have to in any kind of a relationship. Some people will just like, okay, we sacrifice or do something, but now it's like balance. You take a little bit, you think about for yourself, but in another way, you also have to consider other people's. And it's quite interesting because I noticed another set of aspects, not just, I think it's 3 planets, Mars. Mars sextile Saturn, and the Mars trine the Jupiter. They are also balancing each other.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because Mars Jupiter want to expand, want to go out and want to expand the influence and want to do more. But the Mars sextile Saturn will say, well, carefully, carefully plan it, and then don't really just like go into crazy. You have to think about what you want, and you have to think about the feeling, because Saturn in the Pisces, there is something about the feeling and the intangible things there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sextile, I think, is also about going out there and creating appropriate opportunities as well. Sextiles
Mhm.
can bring opportunities. I often think that a sextile between the fire and air planets in fire and air is more like opportunities sort of coming, whereas when it's the water and earth sextiles, which is what this is, it's about finding opportunities, looking out for opportunities. So again, there's another sort of tip for this new moon is to sort of contemplate what the opportunities might be for what you want to achieve. Achievement as well is all about Capricorn and Mars in Capricorn, especially what you want to achieve in the new year and where you can go out and sort of foster and find those opportunities. So something to again to reflect upon in this new moon. And just to quickly go back to the North Node in Aries, you see in the chart there it falls in house 12. This is set for London. It'll be different in your chart and different in other places in the world, but you can see that North Node is heading towards Chiron, which I think is interesting. We talked about that healthy selfishness, etc., and that
Yes.
being yourself and being your own sovereignty and being who you are. And this is obviously can be part of a healing journey. And the work of Chiron is that when you can, I guess, for want of a better word, sort yourself out, then you're in a better place to be able to help others. It's that cliche about, and again, when we talk about a new moon being a time for rest and repose, it's that fill your own cup. You can't help others if you don't look after yourself. So that's a healthy reminder there with Chiron heading towards a conjunction with the North Node, because the North Node, of course, is moving backwards as it pretty much always does. So there's a healthy reminder there. Just fill your own cup with energy, re-energize yourself under this new moon, because we're going back to work, we're ramping things up, we're putting expectations on ourselves, and then the new moon comes around and saying, "Oh, just take a beat, just take a beat for yourself. Don't burn out,
Yeah, I like this interpretation, especially I see node as a kind of indicator. And node itself, it means like what in mundane astrology is more like how people aware. So especially when every time a planet conjunct with nodal axis, people are aware about the theme of that planet. So that means for the coming couple weeks, up to around this time, we are going to aware about Chiron in everything. So just like you mentioned about the healthy selfie, not selfie, healthy selfish, or you maybe about the action. What is consequence of our action, and or how we going to protect ourselves, and all those things with a Chiron in Aries. Was us to draw a little bit more attention in our chart, and we will ask about where is the 20 degree of the Capricorn in our chart, and what house it is, and that really wants us to pay a little bit more attention. Additionally, I just aware that this new moon is going to trigger previous solar eclipse, because on the 14th of October, we had a solar eclipse at 21 degree Libra.
Wow.
So so this new moon is definitely going to square that eclipse at 21 degree Libra position. So it's like a nodal position, around the node. So well, I think in one way this is manifest because it's square. So the things happen around October. Our because it's a solar eclipse, it's a whole new beginning of a big thing. We may make a huge change, or we may make some decision. And now this new moon is going to trigger that. In personal level, I think it could be things are related to, in the mid of last October, that time and what decision we made or what awareness, because now it brings up.
Yeah, I agree. We'll start to see whatever happened, you know, if anything significant happened around the time of the eclipse. As I said, it was in October, middle of October. But eclipses tend to manifest quite eccentrically, you know, so things might happen that are related to the eclipse, as you said, months later, which is why when there is something at the eclipse degrees that triggers it. And then because it's a square to that eclipse degree, it's going to be, we'll see what we might have manifested. We'll see some of the results of what was started there or what happened at that point, which gives us the opportunity then to sort of make changes or see whether we want to continue on that track or whether we want to change track. That's another thing. There's quite a lot to reflect upon actually on this chart.
Definitely. But how do you feel about this chart basically, generally? How do you feel about this new moon?
I feel that it can't help but feel intense, because it's so close to Pluto in Capricorn at 29 degrees. I think that intensity that we've got there is going to feel quite heavy. I mean, it's 9 degrees off, so it's not a real exact conjunction, but the moon and certainly the sun will be there as well, you know, in 9 days after 8 or 9 days after that new moon, the sun will be conjunct Pluto. So there's probably going to be building sense of intensity there. But there are some great things in the chart, which is why I wanted to talk about some of the qualities, the very positive qualities of Capricorn that we can kind of hold on to, that I talked about at the beginning, that we can use that. Capricorn is quite a sensible sign, and it's a sign that wants or needs to see things as they kind of are and work. You already talked about experience, using your own wisdom, using your own experience, and also using all the facts, because as I say, Mercury's going into Capricorn very soon as well, and we've got that strong Mars in Capricorn. So think about the good qualities of Capricorn and how you might use that energy that's buzzing around. That's all I can say really, and a little bit of patience, and perhaps don't be pushed into making any major decisions. Don't be stressed into making major decisions until, you know, this period is over really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we jump into the next chart about the next full moon, there are a few things we want us to pay a little bit attention. The first thing is the Pluto going to move into the Capricorn, move into Aquarius again. Yes, again. And this year is not just once, it's twice, because I remember it will move into Aquarius on 21st, and then when I checked to Christine Skinner, sometimes she from time to time she to check the chart from the heliocentric view, and from heliocentric view was next day, 22nd January. Heliocentric view, the Pluto definitely move into Aquarius. So that 2 day, 21st, 22nd, is a huge date for the Pluto move into Aquarius. And then we will have the in September, Pluto will move backwards and return to Capricorn again. This is the last time, right? I think this is the last time Pluto in Capricorn, and will stay there until November. So during this time will be the extremely, hot, because it's an older mess in the Capricorn. We need to at least aware so we can start to clean it up.
Yeah. I mean, you clean up the mess of Pluto in Capricorn, and boy, are there a lot of messes. Just to mention about the heliocentric chart, in case anyone who's listening who doesn't know what that is. So when we generally cast any chart, we've just seen a chart for the new moon, the planets are shown in relation to where they are in relation to where we are. So we're on Earth, so it's the geocentric view, which is basically where do the planets look like they are from our perspective here on Earth. So if you lived on Mars, you would have a Mars-centric view, for example, whereas the heliocentric view is you cast the chart from the perspective of if you are on the sun, which is of course
Sun, yes.
of our solar system. Just to clarify, in case you don't know the
Thank you.
difference. Yeah. So we always generally for our charts, we always look at where we are. People say, well, astrology doesn't work quite well because the planets aren't quite where they are, but they are from our perspective. That's why we have retrogrades, because from our perspective, it looks like at some point the planets go backwards for a little while and then they don't really, but just from our perspective on Earth, and it's scientifically very complicated and technical. So anyway, I just wanted to I assume I haven't really worked with heliocentric charts. I assume there's no retrograde in a heliocentric chart.
No, there's no retrograde. There's no retrograde. So all the planets just go to orbit the sun. Just orbit the sun. Yeah. Well, before we jump into the full moon chart, I have a question. Mandi, what kind of project are you working on at this moment?
Yeah, I am continuing to do hopefully the final edit on the book that I've been writing for about a year and a half. It's about life purpose. It's part psychology, part spirituality, using spiritual tools, including astrology, to find what your life purpose might be, and to how to, raise your energetic vibration into that space where you can actually manifest your life and live your life more purposefully. So that's been my huge project. I am continuing to do things on my own YouTube channel, and I am also taking clients at the moment. I've now the book is kind of almost finished. My diary's open for clients, so onpurpose.com if anyone's interested in having a private session with me, as well as I do Reiki as well. And I'm going to be continuing this year with my my psychic mediumship training. So I'm a psychic medium in training. So there's a lot going on. And later in the year, I'm already just lined up today actually to speak on a podcast. I'm going to be doing a podcast based on the stuff that's in my some of the stuff that's in my book about my sort of journey, where I am now. And that's a podcast I'm going to be recording that I think towards the end of next week. I don't know when that's going to be out yet. And that's it really. Yeah, there'll probably be some talks coming up, some conferences coming up. When they do, I'll let you know.
AOA, we will definitely have a talk, right? We'll definitely arrange your talk, especially maybe related to your book, because I'm so curious about it now. I'm so curious about it. So definitely we will arrange sometime you have a webinar talking about the spirituality and the astrology. That would be lovely. And I will have
yourself, Rod, you've got exciting webinars coming up, haven't you? With some big names. Go on, tell us.
Okay, so yes, advertising time. So far, I only have the January and February planned. Also, March, I'm still arranging it, and the March. So, but in January, the first is the 13th of January. We have a Robyn Ray. She's going to talk about what change we can expect in 2024. It's not only about in the transit level, but we know Robyn. Robyn is really good in the lunation and the lunar phase. And a couple of days ago, I think when I chatted with Christine Skinner, Christine also said, Robyn's that moon book, that diary things is so useful. It's a very, very practical and very useful. So please join us to listen what Robyn have to say about 2024. On the 20th, we have Sharon. Oh, Sharon Knight. We love Sharon because Sharon's astrology is always quick and simple. And just like if you like this type of very, very fast and then easy delineation about the chart, and then this time she's going to focus on relationship. Her talk topic very interesting. I think if I tell you, everyone would come say finding your partner in the chart. So use the traditional technique to find your partner in the chart. This is so interesting. I think a lot of people want to join us. And then we have the Andrade from Peru, our usual panelist from the mundane astrology discussion. She's going to focus on earthquake. We already planned this talk, early end of last year, and we just learned on the 1st of January. There is a huge earthquake in Japan, and in 2 days there's 80 small quake around the area. So that is Anna is a specialist in the mundane astrology, especially in the earthquake in Peru. Yes, that's also an earthquake group. So really worth come to join us to listen. Anna's talk about the earthquake in astrology. And then we, on the 24th of February, we invite Darby Costello. We know Darby enjoy talking about the relationship. I always remember she say in the relationship and the industry, it's just study how people dancing with each other. I love that, smooth, beautiful way.
Nice.
So yes, from this year, I think we are planning we will continue talking about mundane astrology, but we also add in personal level, especially anything happening around your daily routine, relationship, family, and financial, career, health. We will all include there. So really looking forward. So this is the advertising for the January and the February in the Academy of Astrology's webinar series. So should we jump into the full moon now?
Before you do that, are the webinar details on the Academy of Astrology UK website yet?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
So please visit our website and I will post the data here. Okay, so please come to visit us.
Yeah, do. Yes. I mean, for those of you who missed the recent conference, which was the first weekend in December, I have to say, not just because I was in it, but I have to say you missed a real treat. There were some fantastic talks. So if you either participated in or you came to the conference, it was an online conference, then you'll know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you missed out. So don't miss out this time around because Rod attracts some really fascinating, brilliant talks from a real diversity of astrologers and astrology traditions. You're in for a treat. So
thank you, Mandi.
There you go.
Thank
Bit
you.
of extra advertisement.
Thank you. No, I really enjoyed it, and the people keep asking me, "Are you going to make another one next year?" Because when I beginning last year's conference, I said I'm not sure because this is the very first time I have this conference, and I'm not sure. But now I'm sure because the feedback is overwhelmed. I have to say I wasn't sure in the beginning. Yeah, thank you so much. So, well, let's go to see the full moon because it is so hot this full moon. Let me share the screen with you. So it's on 25th of January. And we have the Sun Moon, New Moon in Leo. Sun is conjunct Pluto.
Oh
la la.
Oh la la. The Pluto's gone into Aquarius by then.
Yes.
And I mean, and then you've got a square there to Jupiter. So you've got a T-square. You've got a Jupiter, Pluto, Sun, Moon, T-square in this full moon, haven't you? Full moon is obviously the moon at full light. And it's, again, I keep using the word intensity, but it's also perhaps if we're going to use that Pluto, it gives us more power. And the thing is with Pluto, it's how do you use the power that you have? How do you go about the challenges and the difficulties that come into all our lives? How do you use the power? Do you use it in an ethical way? Do you use it to empower yourself and to empower others? Because it's an opposition of the sun and moon, of course. So whereas the new moon we've just talked about is a very personal thing, this is more about your relationship with yourself, but also your relationship with others, specifically other individuals, but also your relationship to the world in general, because full light of the moon is when it's the time when people are out, people come out, there are more parties, there are more people getting drunk, there are more things that are seen, and Pluto hides things. So Pluto hides things in the myth. In the myth, Pluto, obviously, he's the god of the underworld and he lived in the underworld. And he would come out to the world above wearing a mask of invisibility. Now, there's no such thing as invisibility at a full moon. So when Pluto, i.e., all the things that Pluto suggests, Pluto is about power, empowerment, secrets, taboos. It's the emotions of shame and embarrassment. It's about big money, big wealth. It's about elimination and waste in every way. And it can be about justice. It's about the collective shadow. It's secrets coming out. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on the news, what revelations might come out under this full moon. There'll be perhaps older stuff that will come to the surface, and we will kind of see things come out dirty. It's hard for things to come out shiny and pretty and beautiful and clean. Pluto comes to clean, as you already said, Pluto comes along to sort of clean things up. But before you can clean things up, you've got to see how effing filthy it is in the first place. Excuse my language. So look out for those kind of themes in the world. But as I say, on a personal level, think about what you need to eliminate from your life and where you need to sort of clean things up, particularly maybe in relationships, and you might need to get some help with that. It's also about becoming, Pluto is about becoming streetwise as well. We talked about Capricorn earlier and wisdom, and we still see there in that chart, we have those 3 planets in Capricorn there, Venus and Mercury and Mars. So what we said about Capricorn earlier on still kind of stands, even though Pluto has thankfully and finally moved on. But we've got themes for Pluto in Aquarius, of course, and we've already seen, it feels like Pluto's been going into Aquarius for at least a year, even though that's not the case, because we've seen a lot of the themes and the dynamics already coming through. And essentially, though, Pluto in Aquarius, it's about the common people, whereas Pluto in Capricorn were about the leaders and the governments and, the people who are really in charge of the people who are in government, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking about conspiracy theories here. I'm talking about the power behind the power. What's the power behind the common people is what we're going to find out. And we will might see the best of that with Pluto in Aquarius, but we also might see the shadow of that as well. So we're going to get a little bit of a taste of that. We're going to be shown some of that, I think, around this new moon, this full moon on 25th of January, that's going to show us a little flavor of it so we can see what's coming, and hopefully we can manifest something better for ourselves individually, but also for the world. What do you think, Rod?
So many things I want to echo. Because when you say things, I keep to remember a lot of different things jump out. Let me slow down. The first thing I really like it, you say, the invisible of the Pluto, Hades is the invisible harmony. And also it's like when Pluto comes out, it's quite shocking. Something you don't want to recognize before, something you kind of trying to ignore before. It will bring it out, especially full moon is the moonlight. The moonlight under Pluto is like, you're going to see this.
There's no hiding. No hiding.
No hiding. And it could be dirty, it could be shameful, it could be scary, but it could be also we have to be brave to face all those things. It may not directly related to you. Somehow you could be victim, or somehow you could be prosecuted, but you didn't aware about it. And that's one way about this. And we're talking about Pluto is about power. Somehow, when you first mentioned about power, I was thinking, yes, usually we're talking about Pluto, about how Pluto abused the power. No, it's not just abuse. I suddenly correct myself very quickly, say Pluto is also about control. You learn to control yourself, not going to abuse the power. That is also another Pluto theme. So in here, we're going to see some people abuse the power, or some people just, knowing their limits and not going to cross that line. And that is so important about this Sun New Moon conjunct Pluto. And another thing that was very interesting when you're talking about the I think the conspiracy theory and about the people, about the real people, which is very interesting because quite a lot of people or quite a lot of those kind of conspiracy or people who are not happy, I usually use the word that we are the people, you are not. So people we don't like are not people. Be very
Hmm.
careful. Be very, very careful. I have to say, everyone has entitled to express their dream, their political preference.
Hmm.
But when you say, I am the people, you have to remember other are also people. Other people disagree with you, they are also people. It's not just because you are the people, so what you say are right, and other people disagree with you, are standing with elite or brainwashed by mainstream media.
Mm.
I think that's a little bit unfair, darling. That's a little bit sorry. I'm not going to attack anyone, but I will just say be aware. Yes,
Mhm.
you are people. You have the right to express your political preference. That's right. That's okay. We are listening. I think we have to all learn to listen each other. But when you think about I am the real people, you are not. And that's
Yeah,
totally wrong. That type of democracy is a little bit populism rather than democracy.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree.
Sorry, I
And
was just sorry
no,
jumping in.
no, I would like to add to that because the shadow of Aquarius is that
Mm,
it can dehumanize others. That is what you've just been talking about, that
exactly.
dehumanization, dehumanize people, seeing them as objects rather than because Aquarius isn't necessarily it's not it's an air sign, an intellectual sign rather than an
Hmm.
emotion sign. I know, of course,
Mm,
all Aquarians have emotions. We can both
hmm.
attest to that. We've got lots of Aquarius in our charts, but in the pure sense of Aquarius, it can dehumanize that thing about democracy that
Hmm.
Aquarius loves democracy, equality, fraternity, humanitarian, brotherhood, and all these kind of things. But like you said, a certain group might say, well, we're right, and that's that, and there's
Hmm.
something wrong with you, and that kind of that dehumanization. And especially in a year that we've already talked about, it's going to be a year where there's going to be some really interesting and probably quite divisive
Hmm.
politics going on because there's elections going on, and
Hmm.
you spoke to that very, very clearly. But I just wanted to add that that is one of the shadow things for
Yeah,
Aquarius, and Pluto in Aquarius shows us shadow. It shows us
yeah.
what's going on.
Before we jump to another thing, I just want to add it a tiny bit why I say this. Because history can tell us last time when Pluto, we all know last time when Pluto moved into Aquarius was during the French Revolution. And for most people who know the French Revolution, they were thinking about, yeah, people's power, people stand up. But one thing worth to remind you, I was thankful I was studying in history when I was in university. I was focused on history, and when I was in France, that time, right after French Revolution, was a chaos period. When Pluto moved into Aquarius, they become, yes, Republican. But it is kind of a very, what should I say? What word I should say? If you disagree with the Republic, you are going to be headed.
Yeah,
That's pretty scary too. That is pretty scary
that
too. That
that grim period of the French Revolution is known not without cause as the Terror.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So and that is Pluto in Aquarius in
yeah, yeah.
extreme. Okay, I'm not. We are not. We should not going to scare everyone with that now.
No,
But
we don't want to
I just
frighten everyone.
remind. Yeah, that
And
but remind. Yeah,
the world is a different. The world is, of course, a different place, and
yeah.
we're seeing the 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 the, the frontier, the democratizing frontier
Mm,
for humankind at the moment is technology and the internet and AI and all those kind of things. And of course, the dark side of that,
mm,
there's going to be calls to there's going to be calls to try and remove some of the dark side of the online world that does cause genuine harm to people. There was a case being in the news where I think it was a young woman. It might have even been an underage young woman, a child maybe.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, she was apparently on a sort of virtual reality site, and her avatar was apparently sexually abused or raped, and that's we're going on the dark side now. But rape is a thing, you know, what rape can come under Pluto in terms of, because it's about that control and that power, isn't it? So we will be seeing more conversations about things happening online and in AI and virtual reality coming more into the real world, and having, you know, learning about the effects that these things that happen online actually have on real lives, you know, real people in their real bodies, in their lives. And if that sounds a bit scary, Pluto brings these things to us to show us what needs to change, and we have the choice and we have the free will to make those changes in our personal lives, in our communities, in the world, etc. We have the choice to empower ourselves to make those changes. And I think Pluto in Aquarius can be a time where people, if they can come together properly, people can come together and make sure that the big corporations that took all the power during Pluto and Capricorn have to pay the price and have to be accountable for the damage that they have done. And that is a really healthy empowerment promise for Pluto in Aquarius, but it's a promise that we have to fulfill. It's a promise that is there to be taken. It's not just going to happen without us doing something about it. So there is always that positive, there is that opportunity there.
I noticed, the news you're talking about was shocking, definitely, and it drew our awareness about that. Is definitely a theme about Pluto in Aquarius, and we have to deal with it because it's abuse. It's definitely a bully abuse. Yes, it comes through a virtual form, but it's still a rape, and that definitely, I think I remember is a young I think it's a teenager. It's not So imagine the damage to her, and that is definitely worth us to pay more attention about the, you know, what all these internet things can bring to us. There's a benefit, but there is also the things we need to pay a little bit attention. In this chart, I draw a little bit attention about a few things like Mercury and Mars are in one way trying the Uranus, and in another way, I think they both Mars is square Chiron. They both square Chiron and trying Uranus. So I think this is also a little bit related to the the things we're talking about. In one way, is this kind of a harm, this kind of a damage about what people say and how people act. In another way, there is a benefit about Uranus, Mars, and Mercury, thinking about what this technology can bring the benefit to our life. But in another way, there is a Chiron there, and what's the price we pay? How do you think about that, Mandi?
Yeah, talk about the price you pay. I mean, Chiron is, amongst other things, it's about sort of where we are wounded, and it's not that Chiron brings you, you don't see Chiron in your chart and it brings you a wound. What it does, it kind of triggers old wounds, where, imagine people, for example, I mean, I had an accident one time, and I did some damage to my elbow, and every now and again I still get pain in my elbow. It never entirely healed. That's a Chiron wound, and there are psychological and emotional wounds as well. So there's that kind of trigger there, but they come up for you to pay attention. Again, we talked about the stuff that comes up in Pluto. It's for you to pay attention and do something about it. So it's for me to pay attention. For example, this is just a silly example. It's not really a massive problem, but
no, I think it's totally valid.
I'll get that looked at again, and I'll do something about that kind of thing. So it's kind of very often when these transits come up in the sky, particularly if they hit your birth chart, they're sending you a message and bringing something to your attention that you might need to do some work, whether it's, you know, it's going to the doctors, whether it's kind of looking at your career, whether it's looking at your relationship, or whatever it is. It's about, you know, this is the message. We're drawing your attention to it, basically, to help you. I think it's good to think about transits as helpful things. And it's also, I think, important at this point because we've, you know, we're talking about Pluto here, so naturally we go into that kind of quite intensity. It's not like talking about Neptune where we all get a bit woolly and a bit vague. We're talking quite intensely because it is Pluto we're talking about. So it's important to notice that, or not to notice, it's important to know that the planets don't do things to us. And the way we speak about astrology and the language that we use quite naturally sometimes gears towards us giving the impression as astrologers that the planets do things to us. They don't.
Yes.
Planets reflect. Planets, as I said, bring things to our attention, bring things to our notice, give us messages. And we will see the themes of those transits of those planets in our lives, but how we deal with them, that's up to us. It's that whole thing of as above and so below. So it's a reflection. You know, which the planets reflect what happens here on Earth, which I think is rather beautiful and rather cosmic and rather divine in many ways. That's why the outer planets, there's a book about the outer planet transits by, I think it's Howard Susportus, and he called this book The Gods of Change, and that's just kind of what they are. You know, they reflect change rather than cause change. I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Mandi. Well, so I want to wrap up because I want to sum up this full moon chart. There's a pretty intensive, especially this full moon are always related to the, like Mandi said, relationship. So maybe we will in the personal relationship, it doesn't only limited into the romantic relationship. It could be cooperation or friendship, but that we were aware about there is the intensity there, and there's something old or something new may happen, and something related to power, how to control and how to balance, or how not to abuse that power and the trust. And also there is I think that we talk about the Mars Mercury trying the Uranus, but the square the Chiron, and that also bring a little bit, you know, I like what Mandi say. There is a wound there, never heal. But from time to time, it reminds you. And thank you, Mandi, to clarify that. And I think it's very useful. It was very, very useful to think in that way. Why? Let me say, if I take this chart, I say, oh, because Sun and the some conjunct Pluto is on my chart and triggers so and so. So this Pluto caused this problem to me. Fine, easy. I think I can blame Pluto for everything. But it missed the opportunity to look a little bit deeper, and in the end, that is me. That's my chart. That's my life that I need to take care of. It's not that this Pluto move on and everything I can forget. So I think, thank you, Mandi, for mentioning about when we talk about all these transit, it's not they cause something, but they kind of remind us. Thank you, Mandi.
Yeah, Pluto is associated with depth psychology, with psychotherapy and depth psychology, actually, because when it was discovered was when depth psychology, psychotherapy, psychoanalysts started. So there is that association, that kind of going deep within yourself, whether you have therapy or not. Often, if you have a strong Pluto transit, it's one of the some of the advice you might be given is perhaps you should think about your deep unconscious processes, which is the work of psychotherapy, of course. So that's another thing to sort of think about. It takes you to some deep places, and it takes you to some dark places, but there can be no light without the dark, and you can shine a light into the dark, and the light of one candle in the dark
Definitely
isn't going to be snuffed out by the dark, you know. So there's always hope, there's always love, there's always hope, there's always opportunity.
Yeah, definitely when the Sun conjunct Pluto, we are going to see a lot of things like that. Thank you, Mandi, today for taking your time out to share your observation of new moon and full moon with us. And then really looking forward for your new book. And then we will definitely, arrange a webinar with you about the spirituality and astrology. That would definitely so interesting to listen your talk. Okay. And thanks everyone. Thank you, Mandi.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! And next week we will have our World Scope Mountain astrology team join us, and we were going to talk about. I think at this moment we will talk about Japan, a little bit about Japan because it's such a big news. And maybe if we have time, I will explain a little bit about Taiwan's situation and the Taiwan's chart, and then how things going to be. I don't know at this moment, but we will see. And then if you have any idea, if you have any feedback, please leave the message. And also, if you like our channel, please subscribe because we every Friday we have a new program coming up. So don't miss it. If you subscribe, click little bell. We will send you the reminder. And also visit our website. So for the 4 different webinar is from January, we have the 4 interesting webinar there with Sharon Knight, Robyn Ray, and Andrade, and also the Darby Costello. So please join us. See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.